There comes a moment, not loud, not spectacular, when something inside you wakes while the world still sleeps. It may happen in the hush before dawn, when the streetlights hum and your own breath sounds strange to you. Nothing outward has changed, yet every small thing feels charged with meaning. The ticking clock, the whisper of air through a window, the pulse in your wrist. It is as though the fabric of the ordinary has thinned, and through its threads, another light begins to show. At first, you think it's joy, and it is, but not the kind you can hold. It carries a strange gravity, a quiet weight that bends the heart toward stillness. You want to run out and tell someone, "I see it now. Everything is connected." But even as the thought forms, words collapse under their own clumsiness. How do you describe a wind with no direction, or the taste of light? Ibn Arabi once said, "There are knowledges that cannot be spoken, only lived." The awakened heart learns this truth quickly. What has opened inside you is not a theory, it is a fragrance. And no matter how you try, you cannot pour a scent into another's ear. You can only carry it on your skin, silently. There is something unsettling about this realization. The people around you still speak the language of goals and grievances, while you find yourself staring at a tree as though it's praying. You laugh, you nod, you answer politely, yet somewhere behind your eyes, the world has widened beyond measure. It's not superiority, it's homesickness. You've glimpsed where you come from, and the glimpse has made everything else feel both sacred and strange. Awakening, you discover, isn't a trumpet blast, it's a tremor. It rearranges you in ways others can't see, and because of that, you begin to carry your understanding like a candle cupped in both hands, careful not to let the wind of conversation snuff it out. You ask yourself quietly, what happens if I try to explain this? Will they understand, or will I only confuse them and myself? The heart answers, not yet. So you stay silent. You let the light settle. You learn to listen more than speak. And in that listening, you begin to sense the first rule of the path, that truth is patient. It reveals itself only to those who can bear its weight. Before long, you'll learn there are things an awakened soul must guard, not out of pride, but out of mercy. Some experiences are meant to ripen in silence, not be handed out like fruit unready for the tongue. Because what the world calls sharing, the mystics call scattering. And so, as the night thins toward morning, you understand what Ibn Arabi meant. The deepest awakenings are not announcements, they are invitations to reverence. You whisper to yourself, nothing is random. Every sign is an invitation. This is where the journey truly begins. The moment you realize that awakening is not about speaking more truth, but about speaking it less. When the veil first lifts, it does not ask your permission. It opens like a sudden window, and light rushes in faster than you can make sense of it. You may be sitting in prayer or simply washing your hands when it happens, a moment where everything feels alive, breathing with one unseen rhythm. The air hums with presence. Even silence seems to speak. For an instant, you see through the thin fabric of the world and realize that what you called life has never been separate from what you call God. The distinction dissolves. The doer, the deed, and the doing become one continuous motion. You want to cry, laugh, kneel all at once. It is so intimate, so clear, that words feel like dust thrown into sunlight. And so the first urge is to tell someone. You want to share the miracle, You run to the people closest to you, family, friends, maybe even a stranger online. You try to explain that the world is not what it seems, that everything shines with meaning, that death itself is only a doorway. But the moment the words leave your mouth, something slips away. The listener nods politely, smiles kindly, and says, "That's beautiful." And yet, you see in their eyes, they do not see. They cannot. It is then you realize what Ibn Arabi meant when he said, "There are knowledges that cannot be spoken, only lived." This knowing is not made of ideas. It is made of being. Trying to explain it is like pouring an ocean into a teacup. What spills over is confusion, not clarity. There was once a man who walked home one night under a sky full of stars. Suddenly, he saw through everything, the trees, his breath, his own body, and perceived that there was no him walking, only the walking of God in form. Trembling with joy, he rushed home and told his wife, "It's all him. There is no me." She smiled gently and said, "That's nice, dear. Don't forget to lock the door." In that moment, his joy turned to stillness. He understood. The truth cannot be told. It must be realized. Not because it is forbidden, but because it cannot fit into the vessel of language. What happened inside you cannot become a sentence. It can only become a life. This is the first secret an awakened soul must guard. Never try to share the fire of your direct encounter, not because it's a secret to hide, but because it is sacred to hold. Once you begin to describe it, you turn what was infinite into something measurable. The heart that burns with revelation cools under the shadow of explanation. When you say, "I am awakened," the I separates again from the awakening. Duality returns like fog after sunrise. The ego slips back wearing spiritual clothes. True realization dissolves the one who would claim it. The wise remain silent, not out of fear, but out of reverence. They know that truth is a fragrance. You cannot give it, only let others sense it when they come near. A flower does not shout its scent. It simply blooms. In the same way, your awakening is meant to be lived, not announced. Ask yourself, who is it that wants to be recognized for seeing? Who needs to prove they have arrived? And listen closely, for the answer will tell you how much of the self still remains. The saints say there is a secret between the soul and the divine. As Sir, once revealed, it binds them together like breath to the body. To speak it carelessly is to break what was given in trust, so keep your encounter quiet. Let it shape your life, not your image. Let it soften your speech, not fill your mouth. Let your silence carry the presence you have seen. For those who are ready will feel it without a word, and those who are not would only misunderstand. Remember, you are not asked to convince, only to become. The light you carry now will do the teaching on its own, silently, steadily, like dawn overtaking the night. And when you find yourself longing to share again, place a hand over your heart and remind yourself, what was shown to you was not yours to display. It was a trust from the real meant to grow roots in your being, not wings in your ego. Every revelation, if protected, becomes transformation. Every revelation, if spoken too soon, becomes noise. This is why the awakened walk quietly. Their silence is not emptiness. It is fullness too vast for sound. When the fire of awakening first touches the heart, it feels natural to look back and trace how it began. Was it that night of despair when you cried without words? Was it a verse you read, a silence that broke you open, or a single act of kindness that cracked the walls around your heart? You try to identify the pattern as if the divine were a formula, and if you could just find the right combination again, you could open heaven's door at will. But the second secret Ibn Arabi teaches is this: never turn your meeting with the real into a method for others. What opened your heart was meant only for you. There was once a young seeker who studied under an old master known for his endless patience. The master prayed before dawn each day, sitting for hours in silence. One night, the seeker decided to imitate him. He stayed up all night, forcing his breath into rhythm, repeating the sacred names until his lips ached. But instead of peace, exhaustion met him. When morning came, his body trembled, his head swam, and his heart felt hollow. Ashamed, he confessed to the master, "I did what you do, but I felt nothing." The master smiled and said, "You were watching my posture, not my state. My silence is not an act, it's a consequence. When your longing ripens, silence will come to you naturally. You cannot manufacture dawn." The seeker bowed, realizing what the master meant. What is medicine for one can be poison for another. What calms one heart may crush another under its weight. Ibn Arabi wrote, "The paths to God are as numerous as the breaths of creation." Each soul travels by a road carved through its own temperament, time, and trial. The divine does not repeat a meeting. Every encounter is uniquely tailored to the soul's readiness. That is why spiritual copying is so dangerous. You see someone fast for days and think hunger will bring you closeness. You see another weep in prayer and think tears are the measure of truth. But God is not summoned by imitation. He is discovered in sincerity. Reflect for a moment. Are you seeking the beloved, or are you seeking someone else's experience of him? Every time you compare your path to another's, you quietly tell your soul it is not enough. You forget that the one who called you already knows the way you must walk. There's an old saying among the dervishes: the tailor does not cut every robe the same. The real clothes each heart in a fabric that fits its story. Your pain, your confusion, your small victories. These are all threads of a garment being shaped for you alone. If you hand it to another, it will not fit them, and it may tear. Even your practices, your prayer, your meditation, your way of remembering, are invitations, not formulas. The moment you believe this method will lead to awakening, you have already reduced the infinite to a technique. And techniques can only polish. They cannot create light. There was a disciple who once said to his master, "I've prayed as you instructed for years, but I have not found God." The master replied, "Then stop praying as you think you should and start seeing that he was never absent." The disciple was stunned. "But you told me to pray." The master smiled. "Yes, when you were asleep, prayer was your alarm. Now that you are awake, the alarm must stop." The seeker finally understood. What wakes one person may lull another back to sleep. This is the mercy of the second secret. You are not asked to hand others your ladder. You're asked to walk your own steps with awareness. Let the divine guide them differently. Let your life, not your method, be the evidence of truth. Ask yourself, what if the path I cling to has already served its purpose? Am I still walking toward the light, or just tracing the memory of where it once touched me? The heart's journey is not repetition, it is unfolding. And every unfolding requires trust. So guard your method. Keep it sacred, not secret. Use it as a reminder, not a relic. For when the real wishes to meet you again, He will not knock on the same door twice, and when he does, you will understand. Awakening was never about the steps. It was about the one who placed them before you. As awakening deepens, the eyes begin to change. You no longer see only faces and gestures. You begin to see the stories that live behind them. A person's smile carries the echo of an old wound. Their anger hides a trembling child. Their indifference is often just fatigue from too much longing. You start to see that everyone in their own way is reaching for the same light. Some through devotion, others through distraction. This new sight feels like compassion at first. It's as if the world has turned transparent, and you can finally understand why people act the way they do. But soon, a more dangerous temptation appears, the urge to reveal. You want to help them see what you see. You want to take their hand and pull away the veil that still blinds them. You think, if only they knew what I know, they would be free. Yet this is the moment when the awakened must learn restraint. For your vision, no matter how clear, is not permission. There was once a dervish who saw his friend sinking under pride and self-importance. The dervish knew that this pride was the chain keeping his friend from peace. He felt a sharp urge to speak the truth plainly, to confront him, to wake him up. But he stopped himself. Instead, he prayed for his friend in silence and waited. Months passed. Then one day, the proud man came with tears in his eyes and said, "I think I've been unjust to others." The dervish simply smiled. What truth could not do, time and mercy had done. Ibn Arabi wrote, "Do not tear open what God has wrapped. There are veils placed by wisdom, not ignorance. A cocoon may look like imprisonment, but it is protection. If you cut it open before its time, you kill the wings before they form." The same applies to the heart. Each person's illusions are part of their ripening. When you try to strip them too early, you rob them of the strength that only struggle can build. What looks like blindness may be a divine covering, a mercy allowing the soul to mature slowly, to withstand the radiance when it finally comes. Ask yourself, have you ever been helped before you were ready? Have you ever been given advice that felt like a wound instead of a cure? Then you know why silence can sometimes be the purest form of compassion. Seeing someone's hidden pain does not mean you are meant to expose it. The saints teach that unveiling another's truth before its season is a kind of violence. To awaken someone by force is to confuse light with lightning. It may illuminate, but it also burns. Instead, the awakened heart listens. It lets understanding sit quietly like a lantern behind the ribs, glowing without glare. It prays more than it preaches. It trusts that the same hand that awakened you knows when to awaken them. The Gnostics say, "Do not force the dawn. You can open the window, but you cannot pull the sun into the sky. When someone you love is still asleep, your duty is not to shake them. It is to stand by the window and let your stillness carry the fragrance of morning." Sometimes the greatest act of guidance is patience. To see someone trapped in the same illusions you once escaped is painful. But you must remember, your freedom came not through argument, but through experience. It came when life itself became your teacher. So let life do its work in them too. You are not the awakener. You are a witness to the process. You are the reminder that light exists, even when it is unseen. This is the third secret of awakening. Never reveal another's veil before its time. For what you call helping may actually be harming. What you call kindness may be interference. Trust the timing of the real. Every heart blooms in its own season. Some flowers open under sun, others under rain. Some need storms to break their shells, others need years of quiet soil. Your task is not to force the blooming, but to keep the garden tended in love. And so you walk among people gently, seeing their hidden seeds, but never pulling at them. You water with kindness, you shade with patience, and you wait. For when the light touches them at last, it will not be by your command. It will be by the mercy that governs all awakening. There comes a moment in the journey when even the last veil trembles. It doesn't announce itself with thunder or light. It arrives like a still wind that suddenly reveals there was never more than one. You look at the world around you, the street, the passing faces, the movement of clouds, and something within says, it's all him. The division between observer and observed dissolves. The breath that leaves your chest and the wind that stirs the trees become the same motion. This vision, which the Sufis call Tawhid al-Shuhud, the witnessing of oneness, is both breathtaking and perilous. To the heart that is ready, it is liberation. To the heart unprepared, it can feel like the ground falling away beneath the feet. Imagine standing by the ocean. The waves rise and fall, each one seemingly separate. Then, in a flash of clarity, you see that there are no waves, only the sea playing at movement. For a moment, you understand that all forms are gestures of the same eternal reality. Your life, your joys, your losses, all currents in one vast tide. You want to tell someone, you want to say, I saw it, all is one, all is divine. But when the words leave your lips, they sound strange, even to you. The listener frowns. They think you're being poetic, or worse, delusional. They cannot know that what you saw wasn't metaphor, it was vision. Ibn Arabi warned, the wine of unity must be poured only into cups that can hold it. For the truth of oneness, when given to those still clinging to separation, becomes poison instead of honey. The mind that has not tasted annihilation hears the word nothing and thinks despair. The heart that still fears loss hears unity and thinks erasure. Once, a mystic shared his realization that the self was an illusion, that only God truly exists. His friend grew pale and said, "Then nothing matters?" The mystic shook his head gently. "No, everything matters because everything is Him." But the friend could not hear it. His heart was not yet strong enough for that radiance. This is why the Gnostics veil the vision of the void. They know that when the curtain fully falls, the unready will call it madness. The awakened call it mercy. To see through creation is to see God moving as every form, joy and grief, birth and death, giving and taking. It's not that the world disappears. It's that you recognize it as a reflection, not a rival. But how can you speak this without unsettling those who still need the mirror to learn who they are? Ask yourself, if you were to tell a child that the monsters in the dark are just shadows, would you take away their fear or their lesson? Sometimes, fear is the cocoon that leads to trust. That is why the saints speak carefully, why their words are wrapped in stories and symbols. They know that language can point to truth, but never contain it. To say, all is one, is to use the tools of duality to describe its absence. It's like trying to draw a circle around the sky. It can only suggest, never encompass. Those who truly see oneness do not shout about it. They become quieter. They speak gently because they understand that words can wound the unready heart. They let their seeing ripen into humility, not display. And when someone asks them, "What is the void like?" they answer softly, "Full." For what they have found is not nothingness. It is everythingness. It is not emptiness, but overflowing presence. The nothing the mystics speak of is not a denial of being. It is the unveiling of true being. Only when the mirror of the heart is cleansed of images can the real reflect in it. The more you let go of your illusions, the more you discover that what remains is not absence, but fullness too vast for comprehension. So guard this secret carefully. Let your vision of oneness stay tender, like an ember cupped in your palms. Do not throw it into the cold air of argument. Let it mature inside you until it becomes compassion. For when you truly see that all is one, you cannot harm another, because there is no other left to harm. This is the fourth secret. Never speak of the void to those who still live by walls. Let your silence be the teaching, your gentleness the proof. And as you walk among people again, remember, every form you see, every soul you meet, is the same ocean moving toward recognition. You no longer need to declare it. You only need to bow. When awakening deepens into oneness, a new understanding begins to rise, a freedom unlike anything you have known. It is not rebellion, it is not defiance, it is clarity. You realize that all actions, all moments, all beings move within one vast harmony, that even what seems separate from the divine is still sustained by it. The waves do not resist the ocean. They are the ocean. And in this recognition, the heart begins to feel an unshakable peace, an inner law beyond every written law. But this realization, if spoken too soon, is easily misunderstood. The unawakened hear freedom and think license. They think it means you can do what you want. Yet the awakened know it means you can no longer do what harms. Ibn Arabi said, "When I saw the one in all, my hands forgot how to strike." This is the heart of the fifth secret. Never speak of divine freedom to those who still see separation. To them it will sound like chaos. They will think you have cast aside morality, when in truth you have stepped into a higher obedience, the obedience of love. There was once a mystic who worked in a market. He was known for his quiet smile and unshakable calm. When customers cheated him, he did not argue. When mocked, he did not respond. One day, a merchant said to him, "You have no pride, no fire. How can you live with such submission?" The mystic replied, "I obey a law you cannot see, the law that says there is only one hand moving through us all. If I strike you, I strike that hand. If I forgive you, I touch it." The merchant laughed, thinking it madness. But others began to notice something strange. Everything around the mystic seemed to flow with ease. His life was quiet, but filled with blessing. It was as if, by surrendering the illusion of control, he had become part of a deeper order that never failed him. True freedom, the Sufis teach, is not freedom from law. It is freedom through understanding. The awakened heart no longer obeys because it must. It obeys because it cannot do otherwise. Its nature has become aligned with compassion. This is the difference between moral effort and spiritual realization. The ordinary person says, "I must be good." The awakened one says, "There is no one left to harm." For when you see that all is the movement of the beloved, cruelty becomes impossible. Ask yourself, what would goodness look like if it were effortless? What if kindness wasn't a decision, but the natural fragrance of seeing clearly? This is the freedom of the realized. They act gently, not because they are bound by rule, but because they have dissolved into the wisdom behind the rule. To speak of such freedom to the unready is dangerous. The ego will hear it and twist it into self-worship. It will say, "I am beyond right and wrong," and use that illusion to justify harm. But the truly free have transcended not the rule, but the need for rule. They no longer struggle to do good. They are good without trying. Ibn Arabi described this as haqiqah, the level of truth where the servant sees no doer but God. And yet, even in that seeing, the saint continues to live gently within the world's boundaries. He pays his debts, honors his word, keeps his promises. Because the awakened understand that to disturb the order of others' learning is also to disturb the divine play itself. They walk the earth like skilled actors in a sacred drama. They know it is theater, yet they play their part with devotion. They bow, they smile, they fulfill their duties, not out of compulsion, but out of reverence for the author who wrote them into the script. For this reason, the sages veil their freedom. They do not proclaim, "I am free." They live it quietly, allowing their conduct to reveal what their lips conceal. Their humility becomes the sign of their liberation. This is the fifth secret of awakening. Guard your freedom until it ripens into compassion. Let it show in your gentleness, not your words. Speak of it only when you meet someone who can hear with the heart, not the mind. Because divine freedom is not escape, it is return. It is not a flight from responsibility, but the purest form of responsibility. The awareness that everything you touch is God touching Himself. And when you reach this place, there is nothing left to boast of. The I that wanted to be free dissolves into the freedom itself. The river no longer speaks of flowing, it simply flows. After the thunder of awakening comes a quieter miracle, the transformation of presence. You no longer feel the need to explain what you know or defend what you believe. The truth that once burned to be spoken now settles in you like a calm, steady flame. You realize that teaching does not always require a voice. Sometimes it only requires a way of being. The world still moves as before. People hurry, speak, argue, dream. But to you, everything breathes differently now. You see meaning in the smallest motions, the way sunlight rests on a cup, how the wind rearranges fallen leaves, how strangers hold doors for each other without knowing why. You begin to understand that revelation is not limited to grand visions. It is woven into the quiet gestures of daily life. Ibn Arabi wrote, "Speech veils as much as it reveals." You start to see what he meant. When words end, presence begins. It is not that the awakened abandon language, they refine it. Their pauses become part of their message. Their silence carries weight. When they speak, each word feels chosen by the heart, not the ego. There is a story of a sage who never preached. He simply sat under a tree near a busy path. People came and went, yet those who sat beside him left changed. They could not explain how. He had not taught them doctrine or philosophy. He had shared stillness. His calm was a mirror. In his silence, they saw themselves. That is the essence of teaching through presence. The awakened one does not seek to impress, they seek to reflect. Their kindness becomes a sermon, their patience becomes instruction. To sit near them is to remember something long forgotten. You cannot quite name it, but you feel lighter, more awake, more yourself. Ask yourself, have you ever met someone who didn't talk about peace, but whose very presence made you feel it? That is the fragrance of realization, the invisible perfume of inner alignment. It spreads naturally, without effort. This is how the divine continues to teach through his servants. Not through argument, but through resonance. Not by persuasion, but by vibration. The awakened heart becomes like a tuning fork. Those who draw near begin to vibrate at the same quiet frequency. You do not have to declare your awakening. Let it radiate through your gentleness, your listening, your patience with others' confusion. Let your eyes convey what your words cannot. Let your calm become an atmosphere where others remember the peace that was always theirs. Because in the end, every true teacher vanishes into their message. The river doesn't speak of its reflection, it simply reflects the sky. And the one who has seen the real no longer points to it, they embody it. So walk gently as one who carries the fragrance of remembrance. Let the way you move through the world become your teaching. Say less, mean more. Be silent, but present. For the greatest truth is not declared, it is felt. When all the veils have fallen and the heart has grown quiet enough to hear, a final realization dawns, not as an idea, but as recognition. You were never traveling toward God. You were traveling within Him. The destination was never somewhere far or hidden. It was here, now, beneath the noise of becoming. The seeker, the path, and the sought were all part of the same unfolding remembrance. You begin to see life not as a journey away from truth, but as the divine remembering Himself through countless forms. Every joy, every failure, every waiting season was a chapter in that remembering. There was never distance, only the illusion of forgetting. Ibn Arabi said, "The end is folded into the beginning, and the seeker is the sought." The more you live in this awareness, the softer you become. You no longer need to argue or prove. You simply live as one who has come home. Even your silence begins to glow with meaning. And now you understand the secret behind every secret. That awakening was never about becoming extraordinary, but about becoming real. The signs were never outside you. They were within you all along. The divine was never waiting for your arrival. He was waiting for your attention. So guard your seeing, live it quietly, and let it unfold through kindness. Walk as though each step touches sacred ground, because it does. Speak gently. Forgive quickly. Love without measure. For the awakened do not stand above others. They stand among them, remembering for everyone what was never truly lost. Have you ever experienced a moment that felt like a message meant only for you? A quiet reminder that something greater was speaking through life itself? If so, share it below. Like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell icon to join us here on Voice of Sufism, where every story is a sign, and every sign is an invitation to remember.